All right. Now we are live once again. Welcome to another episode of Evil Live. I'm your host, the Evil Tyrone. Today, got a special guest in the building. We got writer, director, producer. This man's got a lot going on. Mr. Brandon Espy. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tyrone.
Oh yeah, it's an honor, man. Thanks for reaching out. You had reached out and was like, yeah, check this out, and check your short out. And I checked it out, and it was amazing. Like me and my fiance were watching it. It blew us away, man. It blew us away. I'm
Uh,
not. I mean, I know I got you on the show. I'm not, like pulling your leg. Like it really was something to see. Like I recommend everybody check it out right now. It's on Hulu's their bite-sized Halloween series they got going on, season 3, episode 10. Better make
mhm.
sure you check it out. And it's less than 10 minutes, people. Give it your eyeballs, but
Quick.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But I guess we could get it started, like with your horror origin story. So how did you get into horror?
I say when I was young, I would always try to watch horror, even though I wasn't really directly allowed to. Sneak it here and there. Usually, my
Gotcha.
grandparents' house were a lot more leeway for that viewing. Started early on with Tales from the Crypt, and the first thing that actually scared me was Unfitting Punishment
Ooh.
because the episode with that crazy mean uncle. I remember I was young. I was like, man, he is so mean and evil, and I thought he was just like the scariest man. I was like, why is he so mean to his nephew? And his nephew, he was kind of light skinned. I'm light skinned. And I remember I had a dream one night where I woke up. I was in my grandparents' house, and they had a guest room that I would stay at sometimes whenever me and my sister visited. And I woke up and I saw the nephew in the hallway, and he's in the crutches
Oh
with
yeah.
without his feet, and I saw his shoes in the room somewhere, just like moving a little bit. And I remember since then, that was kind of like my early like shock, and I had like nightmares and shit about it. But um, even though it did scare me, it brought like a feeling within me to where I kind of like wanted more. And then I explored different things, like of course Exorcist, like the Poltergeist was something I was really strong and drawn to when I was young, viewing as well. I think in general, just the bending of reality has always been to me with horror, and always just like the mystery and like the endless possibilities, what can happen. So I think with horror, it's kind of like you've seen I kind of veered into it through like sci-fi or even adventure type of stuff, like with like the
Gotcha.
Goonies when I was younger. But then when you get a little bit more into like some creepy side of like it really messed me up when I was young as well.
Messed a lot of us up, man.
Yeah, and so that Tim Curry character, yeah, I definitely had some dreams of that and like the shower scene and everything. And so a lot of those inspos came into my origin of horror. um, I was a big Freddy Krueger fan, so like Nightmare on Elm Street, like anything with these characters, these kind of like big characters that were held on such a stage back then. I think it always fascinated me, and I always wanted to know more about. And I think that's like that kind of like started my horror journey.
Gotcha. It's and you listed some great inspirations right there. Especially Tales from the Crypt, that episode, that it's a special episode because it's got people of color in it, but
Mhm.
also it's special because it's like you're dealing with a kid, putting the kid through that type of horror,
Yeah,
like, and sometimes like they like to, cradle kids when it comes to like telling, uh putting the kids in horror. But I feel as though there's some sort of magic when it happens, when they just let loose, and you get something extreme, which is something that you dive into as well, into your stories, because I also checked out another one of your shorts, Kiera,
oh
which
cool.
was pretty dope as well, you
I'm glad
know
you like
um
that.
oh yeah, so we got Soothing Smooth. She said, hey, loved Mr. Crocket.
Hey,
Shout
thank you.
out. You know, Mika, she said, great introduction into horror, great films, It, The Exorcist, and Poltergeist. You know,
Yeah.
so we got some got some fans in here. So my next question would be, do you have a favorite like a subgenre? You know,
Um, I say I've always liked the haunted house subgenre of horror.
gotcha.
The Changeling was something that really messed me up when I was young. Uh,
Yeah,
and I say in general, like a lot of the early Conjuring films were something that really like took me back. And in general, I've always wanted to make one of those types of one location, something going on in this house types of horror. But that's kind
gotcha.
of my foundation of it. But I mean, a lot of stuff now, like even the Dark and the Wicked, was more into like possession side within the household. Like
Uh-huh.
that types of stuff is a lot of inspo that I lean into now, and a lot of stuff that interests me within horror. But then I like fun stuff too, like even like Psycho Gorman, having a fun character like that, you know,
Oh
or
hell yeah.
One Cut from the Dead, I think that came out on Shutter. It was like the horror comedy where it was like the found footage zombie uh film. Did you ever see that?
No,
It was
I'm writing that down. One cut from the dead.
Yeah,
Is
the One
that's on
Cut from the Dead
Shutter?
or One Cut of the Dead, and it's on
One.
Shutter,
Okay.
and it's amazing. It's very genius horror comedy. So I think in general, like anything that just take risk in horror and something that's outside of the normal,
Yeah.
that's something that's the stuff I lean to. My all time favorite film is The Thing. I love practical effects.
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
like just in general, when I first saw a movie and just like the atmosphere it created, uh, and just just seeing the practical effects unfold on TV with the dog and everything else, like that was kind of earlier things that really shocked me and really like threw me into this journey and was like, wow, like I'd never seen anything like that. And even the score of like the dun dun,
Yeah.
like that's something that's very like haunting to me, like knowing that like something bad is coming. And so yeah. I love
Oh,
it. It's very like, it's like a comfort movie for me now, I would say.
yeah, it's funny because like, you know, being in the horror community, like we watch a lot of grotesque like stuff on the screen and to ask people like, you know, what's their comfort film and it's never nothing, you know, quote unquote comforting, you know, it's always
Mhm.
some crazy shit, but it's funny and it's real though. It's real. Mika says the changeling still scares me to this day. Nothing like a good haunted house story. Yes, yes. And The Dark and the Wicked is the one she also mentions that one as well, one of the newer ones that terrified her. Now you also mentioned you know, like you mentioned the haunted houses and then like the adventure, you know, some adventure and your horror and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering, did you check out Lovecraft Country? You know, because
Yes, I did.
that's got a lot of that in there. So how did you feel about that as a whole? You
I loved it. And I think in general, just I remember the moment when they were seeing that like, wow, we're about to embark on this journey, and just hearing like the music under that, and just seeing the fact that it had like that this wasn't just a group of white kids. This was like an all black cast going on
know?
this journey. And it's like, wow, we never really done that before. And
Hmm.
so in general, kind of like brought back some nostalgia with going on this new journey. Um, but also seeing it through different eyes. And so, I would love to see more type of horror like that, to where you know we where there are some black kids who go on this journey. It's not just about talking about race necessarily, but it's about just everyday life, and in general, like anyone could resonate with this audience member, whatever race it can be. But the fact that we explore it within this pocket of this culture, like exploring in general, like different pockets of cultures, I feel opens up to different environments that horror may have not existed in before. Like
Yeah.
I would love to see horror, like even more within like the sports genre as well. Like, I grew up on like a lot of sports, Above the
Yeah.
Rim was a big movie that affected me growing up. I would love to see a horror version of that, like Above the
Ooh.
Rim meets Cape Fear, and meets He Got Game, instead of a kid's father getting out of prison, maybe is because some ill stuff, and
Oh
like,
shit.
and so just like different angles of that where horror can easily exist where we haven't seen it, elements like men's society set it off, something to where you just see, I think in general, just that era, and style and music, and really just like the film in general and how a lot of these filmmakers shot these. It's something I really am drawn to. It's probably because I grew up watching a lot of these films, and I think in general I've always been interested in horror, but I hadn't really seen this culture or environment within this. Like we see it sometimes. We see in like Tales from the Hood. We see,
Yeah.
a lot of other films that passed, like a lot of older black exploitation films. But maybe some may not be as ironed out as others as we wish. Like there's so many of them who I would even love to remake some of those to bring more
Uh-huh.
light to those stories, which were great. They just weren't really given like the proper funding or stage to be presented on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're right, man. You're right. And I love the fact that you like because I didn't even think of that, like, adding sports into horror, into the horror genre, and
Mhm.
just gaining a different perspective, because I'm all for like just coming at it from a different angle, because you see things even like in Atlanta, which isn't like it's not technically a horror show, but when I
Mhm.
watch it, like it's very horror like tones. It's very like it's got that feel
Certain
to it.
moments, certain tension.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So it's like I could totally see, something like that in the sports arena, that
Mhm.
could totally work. Do you have a film that you wish you could have been on the set for?
Um, Man, I say Paid in Full.
Oh, paid in full. Paid in full. That's a nice one. That's a
Yeah,
nice one.
yeah. I say in general, I would love to be around the behind the scenes of creating that film and just like knowing how much each character probably even added more onto it on top of that script, and seeing just even a film. I think I wouldn't pick a current film and would want to pick one back then because I know it's probably even harder to make it and probably
Yeah.
like a lot more of everyone's really team effort to make it happen. And in general, like that was uh, a launching pad of certain people and certain careers, and so I like certain pivotal moments. Like I would love being that in certain like that car moment, when Mekhi Phifer is crying and stuff, like I would love to be like those certain moments in film history of like Cameron like stripping the dude down on the street and kicking him,
Uh-huh.
you know, just like I think there's so many moments and people. I'm like, yeah, that'd be dope, something like that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's a good one. That's the first time somebody mentioned paid in full. So I'm glad you showed us some love.
Yeah.
Sue the Swoops like paid in full, good vibes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get it. Now you mentioned, like the black exploitation era. So what are some of your favorites that you wish that you could remake, or that you was like, you know what, this deserves some more attention? Because we see so many like remakes and stuff like that of movies that have already like crossed over. Like we're just about to get another Michael Myers, at the end of the week. And
Yeah.
it's like I love Mike, but you know, we know he ain't gonna die. We know they're gonna come out with, 10 more after this, so it's like, well, what would you want to give love to?
So speaking of haunted house, I would say House on Skull Mountain. I would love to see
Ooh,
that one remade.
that's a good one.
I think because just the atmosphere and that setup in general, and just seeing him like that house on that Skull Mountain actually, and I do like the elements of voodoo that they had within the movie, and I do think it's interesting as well. I think in general it's like certain limitations of the time, but I could think of it being done today and how much it could be elevated. JD's Revenge. I would love to have that
Yes,
one remade.
JD's Revenge.
Like, I think that'd be so fun. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
I could see the dude from Snowfall killing that, and from Glenn Turman's character. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I say, was it Devil's Express? Was that the one about the zombies and the subways of New York?
Devil's, you know what? I never checked that one out. I gotta write that one down too. Devil's
Yeah,
Express.
yeah. Check that out. It's low key like a martial arts film, but it's
Yeah.
about zombies in New York in the subways.
Oh shit. Well, I'm sold in
Yeah,
martial arts and
I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. Like all those are for free. Um, and I think, I would like to see. Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde. I think that'd be a great one.
oh, oh yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
there's a lot of opportunity with that and that character. Um, so yeah, those are kind of like my top ones, I would say.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Those are some good ones, man. Those are some good ones. I got some homework to do. Now if because it's funny you mentioned that because like I would always think of like movies like Blackenstein, because I would look and I'd be like, okay, this is, I'm glad that we got like a black, version of Frankenstein or whatnot, but you know, objectively, it wasn't the best, film or whatever, but I'm like, if
Yeah,
someone, we get some good writers in there, some good, good direction,
yeah,
who knows where that could go. And I wonder if you ever seen Abby, the
yes. I've seen Abby, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, I would, that's one of my dreams, that's one of my goals to get Abby back out there and get Abby some shine,
man,
you
I
know.
love that. I love that. In general, I think in general, all these black exploitation horror films, there's no reason why they don't have some dope merch out uh, of it. How hard
Bro.
is it to find? Like almost impossible, right?
Bro, you got to go on the deep web to
Yeah,
find to find the Abby shirt, to find some. You got to pretty much make it yourself, to
yeah.
find some of this stuff. And it's because there was a lot of red tape and like WB seeing how much Abby made and suing them and getting it pretty much almost erased from history, because I
Mhm.
talked to a lot of people like, I'm glad that I can mention it to you and you're like, oh yeah, I've seen Abby, because that's not always the case when I ask people that. They're like,
At
oh,
all.
I never even knew that there was a movie about a black woman being demonically possessed. And it's just like, yo, it exists, it's out there, and it's, to me, is I feel like it's, the story wise, it's better than The Exorcist. I feel like, so I feel like if they would have had better production value and some money behind it, like,
Mhm.
who knows, man. But yeah, I even own it on DVD. I had to hunt down the
Oh shoot.
DVD. Yeah, yeah, it's a crappy translation, but
Uh,
it does the job. It does the job.
Good.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. See, it's, you gotta show love. Gotta show love. Christine says it was hard to find the Abby movie, but they have it free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Such an underrated. See, there we go. But we gotta
It's like
we
every black quotation is free on YouTube. For real. Crazy.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is, it is. And then Sue the Smooth says, not me having to make my own ganja and Hess shirt.
And the thing is too, I purposely didn't name Ganja and Hess because I wouldn't want to see that remade. I'm like, no,
You don't want that
I
touch.
ain't gonna touch that. I'm like, just please don't ever touch that.
I respect it. I respect it. I respect
I
it.
feel like it's such a art piece in a way, and it's such like a unique perspective and take that
Yeah.
if you try to reinterpret it and even like tighten certain structure, it just like takes away from the essence of it.
Yeah, yeah. Because that movie was very like, raw, but you could tell it was a lot of love,
Hmm.
put into what they were doing.
Yeah.
Now, if there was a movie out there that you could watch for the first time again, what would that be?
Man. Um I'm not gonna say The Thing. uh, Demon Knight.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes,
I had so much fun with that film, and the
yeah,
first time I saw it too, um, yeah, I just feel like it was. I just feel like it was a blast, you know. And
yes.
I loved like the atmosphere of the house and the creatures, and I felt like you just felt everything.
Everything. It wasn't. I really have no complaints about that movie.
Mhm.
None whatsoever. Do you have any favorite? Like, do you have a favorite character from that movie?
Um, I do like the Billy Zane character, the one I commented about at the
There we
time.
go. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah, because I think he's probably like the slickest horror villain, like one of the slickest, like just the way that he approaches his power, and in general, like a lot of, like no horror, like I feel like only Billy Zane could pull that off as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think he was like pretty much like some people are just made for certain roles. Like I don't think anybody else could pull off the collector. Like Susan Smooth said, who could play the collector, but I
yeah,
think nobody else really could pull that off.
yeah.
It
I
was
agree.
yeah, just legendary. Mika says, "Love Demon Knight, such a good one. Great mix of horror and comedy. The creature design was amazing."
Yeah, that creature design's crazy. I love that. Like that. That's like those are just like stuff I dream of. It's just be able to create atmospheres like that and just make movies.
Oh yeah,
And
oh
I think
yeah,
in general, just because I mean, like even like the casting, just the diversity of it, and the different types of characters on screen, it was just a fun movie.
oh
But it
yeah.
was scary, but also I'm like, damn, I'm having a blast while watching this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now you talk about like creature design and earlier you mentioned like prosthetics and stuff. So do you have like some favorite creature features, outside of the thing?
Um, man, yes, I do. Man, I am trying to think. I should have thought about it before I even
Oh
got
yeah. No,
you.
no problem, man. I sprung it
Yeah,
on you. I sprung it on you. You
yeah,
know.
because I'm trying to think like a lot of my horror outside of the thing. Trying to think of so many other. I feel like there's so many other like movies from like the '80s that are playing in my head right now.
Oh yeah,
But
it's
I just
like,
can't put it.
like Evil Dead and like Night of the
Oh yeah,
Demons and stuff
Evil
like that.
Dead definitely. Yeah, Evil Dead 2. Like that. I say a lot of like Sam Raimi stuff was a huge inspo for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man.
Sam Raimi is just is a gem, man. Like he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Mika says, what about Pumpkinhead? You got any love for
Pumpkinhead. I
Pumpkinhead?
love Pumpkinhead. It's one of my top Halloween movies. And that's one of them that I forgot because the witch in that one is probably the most terrifying witch that I had ever seen, especially when I
Yes.
was young. Like with that glow of the fire behind her,
Mm-hmm.
and just her voice, I was no. And in general, I've been like wanting to even make like even like a black version of that. Not Pumpkinhead remake. I would never ever do that. Like
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
never touch that. But in general, that's like witch inspo 101 is Pumpkinhead and just the
Facts.
creature of Pumpkinhead, and just the size of it. And I think just the setup of the story, um, it's probably the eeriest witch story and creature outside of the thing for me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think I would love to see a black version of that. Someone telling a story within that vein. Of that type of movie because it's like you were talking about earlier, just like perspective. Because I don't know if you saw American Horror Stories. They put out like their like 40-minute episodes or whatever. And every episode was a different story, and one of them was a Bloody Mary. They had Bloody Mary this year. They just took it like
I missed that one. I heard great things about
Oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah. They spun it a different angle. It was nice. It was nice, because normally it's like when they tell that story, it's very shallow, very hollow. But they
Mhm.
they gave it some backstory, and they did something dope with it. So that's something I would highly recommend. You check out
Yeah,
whenever you have time.
yeah.
Um, Now, my next question would be, what does horror do for you, like if anything, like for your mental health?
I'd say it's definitely calms me. It's something that I like to relax and watch horror,
Yes, yes.
and I think in general, I think about it a lot throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'm in different like horror Facebook groups, and sometimes I get jealous because I'm at work, or I got two kids too, and so a lot of times I can't watch horror at all. I'm like not trying, even though my kids, like my oldest, he's 4, he loves monsters, he loves everything Halloween. So now this month I dig up all like the kids Halloween horror stuff so we can watch it whenever we get a chance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I say I try to tap into horror whenever I can. It's definitely a comfort thing for me. It's something that like I think also is nostalgic because it just touches. Um, it kind of brings me back to when I was young and watching it and those initial feelings. And a lot
Uh-huh.
of that, I shared those film experiences with my dad, watching movies with my dad when I was young. And so in a way, it's kind of like, I'm able to create those feelings for people now. So it's special to me in that way. And that's like
Oh
how
yeah.
horror is. Kind of like horror is like almost like elevated in that way within my life. So
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a favorite? Now, I know you said, your favorite of all time is The Thing, but do you have like a
mhm.
favorite horror villain? And do you have a favorite final girl or, horror hero, someone that survived to the end?
Okay. So I'd say my favorite horror villain. I would say Freddy Krueger. It's been my favorite horror villain. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in general, dream like just certain stuff, especially like in Dream Warriors. Just a certain play on dreams and nightmares in general, and just throwing someone within that other world. And I think when I was young and seeing it, and not really being able to comprehend how people were able to do those certain effects, and seeing his head pop out the top of the TV, and
Oh
seeing those
yeah.
eyes, stuff that really scarred me when I was young. But then you keep on, yeah, you keep on going, you keep on watching the follow-up versions of it. So when I evaluate all the horror villains, um, and there's some great ones today too, but I think those it's kind of like the ones that took those initial risks early on and just like carried those franchises. Yeah, I really would say Freddy Krueger. Um, and then which the other question was?
Like a favorite
Final girl.
final girl. Yeah.
My favorite final girl. Oh man, that is a really rough one.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah. Um, I'd say was it Karen Black, Trilogy of Terror?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Shout out to Brandon Espy for giving Trilogy of Terror some love. Like my fiance, she really goes up for Trilogy of Terror. So she
Yeah.
she gonna be happy to hear you mention that one.
Yeah. I say yeah, Karen Black.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. That's a good pick. Now I guess we could get into what you got going on because you talked about
Mhm.
Freddie, and from what I had saw with Mr. Crocket, I saw a lot of it took me back. I could see the inspiration.
Mhm.
But still you made it your own, and it was from your perspective and your point of view. So just tell us a little bit about how Mr. Crockett came together.
So Mr. Crocket was inspired by my oldest son. I have two sons, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And my oldest one, he is very imaginative, very over hyper, over energetic. Whenever he likes something, he gets really obsessed with it. And
Yeah.
early on, when we started introducing him to different TV shows, he got really obsessed with this one show called Blippy, and it's a kid show host, kind of like Blue's Clues in a way. And
Mm-hmm.
he got locked in on it, and it's something to where whenever he is watching it, he doesn't hear anything else. It's just
Oh.
him and Blippy, and you could be like right here yelling in his ear. I'll be like, so, and he's just like this, not even here. And so I think with that, it's like me trying to really break that wall with him. Uh,
Yeah.
I realize the power that this fit piece of media has over our kids.
Yeah.
And then just it's kind of like the horror of that too, when we think about it, because we think this is something that really helps us relieve us from what we the responsibilities, like give us a second to just get a break from our kid. They could watch this. Sometimes they could learn stuff, especially if it's educational show. And especially if you think it's more of an education show, then you're like more inclined to give it to somebody. And so I
Mm-hmm.
thought, wow, why don't I create a character like Mr. Crocket, who also was inspired by Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Yeah. And so someone that seems very trusting, very charismatic, something that I could see a black mom giving to her son. I wanted to make sure that he was black, because just something of me like believing that she would buy this for her kid and let him watch it in a way. And I think in general, trying to make him as trusting looking as I can,
Yeah.
so that when stuff bad does happen, it's kind of like more unsuspecting. Uh, yeah, that's really what the inspo was for my son. It was really my son, and I mean the inspo for Mr. Crockett was my son and his obsession with his physical media. So I just created a villain out of it, because I would always go off on him about different things. I would yell at him about that, and I'm like, damn, what if like this person started to try to whoop my ass because I was going off with my son? Obviously, like him and my son to build a bond, they watch each other all the time.
Uh-huh.
It's like when you build a friendship, like, how do you feel when your friend gets disrespected? You know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
thinking about that, and I guess always that what if. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That it definitely, like, I could definitely, even though, it's been, I haven't been a kid for a while now, but
Mhm.
it still gave me that like nostalgic feel, with the VHS tape,
Mhm.
and the kid glued in front of the TV.
Mhm.
And now that I have, like, I don't have any kids myself, but I have a nephew, and my sister, she's like, yeah, he's watching these shows, but I don't want him watching these shows because they say it's overstimulating, and certain things, like, as a parent, you got to think, like, because
Yeah.
your kids are soaking up everything, and even though it's kid friendly, or it's made for kids, you got to think, like, is this still going to be good for their development, or is this, like, because it's almost like they're in a trance, when they're watching this stuff and glued to it. you know
Hmm. Yeah,
it
for
gets
sure.
pretty wild. It gets pretty wild.
It
And I
does.
Yeah, I even love the part where the mom, she yells at the kid, and she was like, "Oh, I wish, I could get a break from you." And it's just, it made it very real. I like everything that happened in the short. It was I mean, there was some stuff that was like, okay, this is, of course, this was, horror aspect, but it was very relatable. You made it very real.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to make. I wanted to make it relatable. I want to be, not just like something that's just relatable to like black moms, but relatable to all parents in general, or people who have, you know, like at the end of the day, it's not the kid's fault, that they're in a certain situation. And
Hmm.
a lot of times too, it's like you get so overwhelmed with things that you are like, it's like you take advantage. It's like you need to make sure that you understand this moment. Like you don't have many moments with your kid. And at the end of the day, this is just a kid. And they may not have that emotional intelligence to really understand what you're saying or carry on or respond in a way that you may like. And I know like you get overwhelmed with emotions sometimes, but just really understand that, like you love them at the end of the day, because, pretty soon that time is going to be gone or they may be gone. And so in a way, it's like, yeah, Mr. Crockett's kind of like, I guess, time in a way. He could easily just take, he was kind of here to answer the prayers of the parents.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah, which was like it was kind of like Twilight Zone esque, because it's like
mhm,
be careful what you wish for, because
mhm,
this is on some level, this is what you wish for, but not the way that you thought it was gonna come out.
yeah.
So it was very very interesting in that way. I mean, where did you find this actor? Because that guy, like the song was catchy, and the guy I was chilled, by the end, and I was chilled, man.
So I've known that dude for a few years now. Cam Montgomery Jr. He's a really talented actor, and he's been a great supporter of my work in the past. And I've always known him as this charismatic type of guy.
Gotcha.
And I just thought, like, when I was writing this character, I was like, man, Cam is like perfect for this. The voice, everything. I was asking to give him hair and a mustache. um, but I say once I talked to him about it and he was down for it, like we really like worked on this character a lot and how he was as a person and how he really just like what he really wants. Like at the end of the day, it's a guy who probably can have kids. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like, he really does want a friend like you know,
Yeah.
like he really means it. I wanted to make sure that that actually came out, and not like you're not just trying to take these kids to terrorize them. Like you've always wanted a kid. You never had the chance to.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah. And what was up with some of these shots, man? Because there was, especially like when something happens, and someone's coming out of the television, and they're not even all the way out. I'm just like, this is sickening. You were selling me the whole time. Like, it's under 10 minutes, people. You need to check it out. But this man is selling you the whole time.
yeah,
So how did
yeah.
you come up with some of those shots, man?
So it was inspired by The Ring, um, with that and with that because I know it was more of a seamless transition, coming out TV, but I wanted Mr. Crockett to break out, in some kind of way. And
Yeah.
so I knew that was going to be hard to show, especially on a certain budget that you may have, to make that happen. And I wanted it to look more like I wanted to do more practical than anything for that. So I think it was a step by step process for how we shot it, especially him in the beginning,
Oh yeah.
and just like VFX reattaching the back because we had a TV that was full, and then we had a TV that had like the front and the back out.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, just really just I had a really talented VFX artist for when we were in that wide shot. Just we shot him with him there and with him without there, and just the full TV, and just make sure we had it at the right angle or angle that works out from when we patched it. And then it looked like boom, his back of his body was just gone. So yeah,
Yeah, I was creeped out. I ain't even gonna lie, I was creeped out. Especially, when she sees that happen, and she starts running, she goes in the room, and then
mhm.
I'm like, oh, is this, because this whole time, like, I hope this motherfucker don't come out the TV, and come to the door. But lo and behold, it was you took it's crazy, because like when we first see Mr. Crockett, he's just looking like a Mr. Rogers type character. Like, he's happy, he's like, oh, kids, and all this shit. But then after a while, like, it's just completely like menacing, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I like? What the fuck am I watching right here? Like, I need a full length feature. Like, I don't know if you plan on expanding that universe one day,
Oh,
but I
I,
would.
I I hope so. That's definitely my goal. Like
Yeah.
I came into this hoping for that since since people within the series are expanding it into features, this year they had their first one that came out today called Grim Cuddy on Hulu. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I just
yeah,
added that to my queue.
and then another one called Matriarch coming out near the end of the month, and that was
Okay.
based off another bite-sized Halloween short. So my plan was to write it to where it can be expandable. I would love to have a series like Nightmare on Elm Street with it. I mean, his red sweater vest was inspired by Freddy Krueger's sweater.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but in general, like my Mr. Crocket, like he doesn't die. You know, he's a guy who he lives immortally within his work. And I'll tell you the quick backstory that I made of him. So he's a guy who was a failed comedian, and he ended up becoming a kids performer before he started shooting himself in his living room as a TV kid show host.
Yeah.
He was working on a special project in his basement, um, and ended up one night electrocuting himself, and that's how he died. And so when
Ouch.
people found him, they found all of his work, all of his VHSs, and they end up, reproducing it, selling it, and that's when he kind of like got bigger after his death. But then slowly finding out that he was immortalized through his work. So kind of like how Chucky, when him and the robber in the store, and the lightning strikes, it's kind of that
Hmm.
kind of effect, except uh, him like living digitally in there. So essentially, he has his own world within his set. It's called like basically Mr. Crockett's world. And so I'm hoping to where I can expand to where the mother Summer goes to try to rescue her son from his world. So kind of like how
Wow.
we have like Stranger Things has this upside down world. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, where basically like her and a few other people go and they try to rescue her son from that world. Also, like discovering all the other past kids he's taken too, because this has not the first time. So
Dude, I'm sold. I'm
I'm
sold.
I'm hoping, man. I'm
I'm
hoping it's
I'm
all gonna
sold
happen.
already.
You know.
That's why I'm telling
So
people, about it. We gotta get it out because we got some love, we got some fans for it. I love Soothing Smooth. I loved when Mr. Crockett came through the TV with the glass and blood sticking out. Got some love for it. But I'm just like from what I've seen so far and from what you told me, where like the whole backstory, just that he was producing this content, in his basement and everything, and then he gets electrocuted, and then after his death that they're producing the stuff, and it's like it's a a detail like that is going to make me root for Mr. Crockett. Like that will make me, get my Mr. Crockett, sweater and everything, and dress up as him for Halloween and all that, because you got to have something
yeah,
that just has you root for the character in some way. Can't
yeah,
just, can't always just have, just a crazy loony person,
exactly.
jumping out the loony bin, like Susan Smooth. It seemed like Mr. Crockett was a demon, you know. it
Yeah, I
did.
mean, I have some plans like to where he doesn't always look like Mr. Crockett.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh well. Yeah, I know you can't. I know you can't give everything away right
yeah,
now, but
yeah, that's all I
yeah.
can say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Christine says I'll be checking Mr. Crockett out, So yeah,
yeah,
I'm just glad you got it out there, and it looks amazing. It looks great, man. It
thank
looks
you.
great. So how does it feel to just have your work, on Hulu, in Halloween season, for the masses? Like how does that feel?
It feels good. I think general October. I mean, October is my birthday month. Actually,
Okay.
today's my
Oh,
birthday. Actually,
well, you know what? Happy birthday, Libra.
yeah.
My sister's a Libra. Libra's
Uh,
going up this month, man. Happy
oh man,
birthday.
thank you, man. Yeah, but I think I always love the Halloween season. I always try to have a project out around this time in some way, and so the fact that it was on a platform like Hulu, I was just happy. It was validating for me in my journey, and knowing that I'm doing something right, and that I could push forward in this horror journey. And in general, I just have a lot of stories I want to tell. So I think it's motivating, it's inspiring, and yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I love see you got some birthday shout outs, Susan
Oh, thank
Smooth
you.
says happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mika, happy birthday, Libra gang,
Yeah.
going up early October.
Yeah.
Um but you got a lot of other stories to tell. Like I checked out your short Kiera,
Mhm.
and which creeped me out as well, I really love the fact that it was people of color and the characters were believable, because a lot of the times when we see other people tell our stories, or even some of us tell our
Mhm.
stories, the characters are not true or believable, but
Yeah, they get a little crazy. Yeah, it's like a like creative player in a video game sometimes. I try to keep it as grounded uh, as possible.
oh
'Cause
yeah, oh yeah, it was definitely some more birthday shout outs, but it was definitely nice to see, and it was even relatable, because you got one character, and he's coming back home, and they're just like like the theme of leaving your sibling or whatnot, and the what could happen with that, and just the like I don't know how you guys did with the special effects, or the with that scenario with the sister, but I was just like, what the, like, I need more,
yeah,
man, I need
yeah,
more.
no, yeah, I want to like that one. I shot that in 2 days, and same as like Mr. Crocket was shot in 2 days, and that was just like I happened to have the wife and kids away, and so but it was something to where I was inspired by The Dark and the Wicked with that one. I want to do
Gotcha.
I want to do a possession story, but something that wasn't as direct as like a physically possessed, like exorcist type of thing. I wanted to do something where it kind of played on the protagonist's dreams and
Yeah.
explore that. And that the lead of that is actually my cousin. And he's
Oh
actually
wow.
he's a comedian actually too. And
Did a good job. Did a
yeah,
good
he did.
job.
I mean, like we worked on it together, and I really the direction I came to the conclusion of is certain choices. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do like this, but it ends up going like this. But then realizing, okay, who is this person? Like, and as far as like their choices, if this choice is them and truly them, then make sure you justify that choice. And
Yeah.
I'm never a person who's trying to like force a choice, because I know when it comes across on camera, it just looks flat. People don't feel it. It may like mess up a progression or distract, a visual journey.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it as real and grounded as possible. And I'm like, with him, I'm like, if less was more, then I'd rather you be less than you trying to throw some shit at me where I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. You guys nailed it. You guys, you're nailing it with what you're trying to convey, on camera. Like, and I know you probably got some more projects, lined up. So do you have anything that you can talk about, that you're working on right now?
Really, I'm working on making Mr. Crocket bigger.
Got you.
And
Got you.
then I have I have a couple other feature film scripts that I'm trying to get pushed forward. So I think just working on constantly developing that.
Oh
And
yeah.
um I think, and also too, because we submitted Mr. Crocket into the festival circuit, some film festivals, just hearing from that
Yes.
coming up. And yeah, I know the studio is excited about that, and just see what comes of it. And really, I think in general, just seeing what comes of the opportunity and just making sure I'm ready, and
Oh
just
yeah.
continuing to either build outlines or pitch decks together. So just I'm ready to whatever comes for me. So
I think you're ready, man. From
I
what I've
think that.
seen, I think you're ready. Like because you hit me up. I'm like, all right, let me check this out, and I was sold off the bat. I was even a little nervous, doing this interview today. I'm like, this man is out here doing it,
Thank
quality,
you.
and it's very effective, and it's not a lot of people put the time or the work in to make something that's effective, effective horror. And it really hit me, both stories, that I had checked out, so it's I'm just glad that you out here doing it, and that you're getting some recognition, and that it's pumping Mr. Crocket, out there, and at the festivals and stuff like that, because I would love to see a full feature film. I would love to see a just, or even sequels or whatever, merchandise, like
Oh
Mr.
man,
Crocket t-shirts, like
I would love that. Mr. Crocket t-shirt, bobbleheads, like little dolls, everything. And I would
oh
love to
yeah,
make like a full-on show as like the promo for it.
uh-huh,
And one thing I miss about like movies from the mid '90s is those soundtracks.
yes,
And it's all like, man, what if I brought that back for the film and actually had some dope like mid '90s soundtracks with the music videos I cut in with scenes from the film.
yes, yeah. Oh, that would be so hard. That'd be so
Yeah.
hard. I'd be here
Uh,
for it.
I'm trying to bring back all that because my day job is I'm a marketing director, and so I constantly think of like different stuff. And so with film, especially with this Mr. Crocket, I wanted to push. I want to really try out that angle, and really like even like with hitting you up and other people I've been trying to hit up is because like my film is being pushed, but it may not be to like the exact black horror audience that I want. And so in
Gotcha.
general, I want to make sure it gets the most eyes possible within the community. Just yeah, just because in general, I want to see just more stories. I want other people to create
Facts.
more stories too. And so I want to just be able to just showcase my work and say, hey, there's someone out here trying to make more black horror. So
Facts, especially because when they see somebody like you doing it, then they get inspired. You never know what,
mhm,
somebody could check the short out and be inspired to do their own stuff, or or
yeah,
just by you doing it, it just shows somebody that, oh, it's possible. It's because a lot of what's out there is telling us that, oh, it's not possible, or it's not marketable, until the very last minute. It's like a lot of
mhm,
times you got to force. It almost feels like they got to be forced to put our stuff out there or whatever. But it's
mhm,
like, when you see more and more people producing quality stuff and just effective stuff, and like, you got me, man. I'm going to be spreading it out as much as possible, because I
good.
believe in it. It's always it's always room for more black creators, out there, you
Yeah,
know um Mika, she said, looking forward to seeing more projects from you.
thank you, Mika.
Christina, we always need more black horror.
We do.
Yes, it's always we. It's I'm just glad that we live in this era now, because we got a strong black horror community out there, and it's like,
Mhm,
just like, from content creators to writers to directors, like everybody coming together and just mingling with each other and just showing each other love, and promoting each other's stuff. And it's I can see it growing, and I can see it helping out, certain avenues, making it easier for the next person, to get through and to come through, so
I
I
agree.
uh I appreciate your work, man. I appreciate your effort. If nobody told you today, because I know it's your birthday, I know everybody, telling you happy birthday, but I appreciate your effort, what you're doing out here for the community,
Thank you, man. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to build on that black horror film catalog, trying to give us more black villains. So
Yes, yes, yes. Now I got a couple more questions before I round out the interview.
cool.
Now we in the era where it's like, the metaverse, and the virtual reality and stuff like that. And there's going to be a space for horror, in the future, or even in the now. So if I were to put on like the goggles, the VR goggles, and I'm stepping into Brandon Espy's world, like, how would it look? How would it look?
It would probably look like the set of the thing within the lab and everything around. Yeah, it would look like that, or like a Silent Hill video game. Just
Oh
very,
shit.
very, just very lonely and desolate, lights flickering. Um, and just some smog everywhere, and probably some random weapons around, just in case some fun comes around.
Yeah, it's funny you say Silent Hill because that like always creeps me the hell out because it's like
Man.
you got like creatures and monsters to deal with, but you
Mhm.
also got the humans in the world that they all got like this glare in their eyes, just like they don't know what the fuck is going on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
don't you see the fog? Don't you see don't you
Yeah.
see all this shit going on? You know,
Yeah. Yep.
very creepy.
Yeah.
Now my next question, or my last question, would be if you could spend the day in the life of a horror villain, whether it be a creature, a person, a spirit, a demon or anything, who would that be if you could just spend 24 hours?
Um, Probably Psycho Gorman.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's the first one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Um, yeah, I was gonna say now I'm like I gotta add Mr. Crocket into my repertoire because
Yeah.
yeah, because that yeah, I'm telling you it hit me, man. It hit me. I'm ready for the merch. I'm ready for the
I'm
merch.
glad. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But thank you for rocking with me, for answering my questions, and for taking some time out, especially on your birthday, man. I'm like, this man should be out, chilling, celebrating with his family, or doing
Yeah.
something big. The success of Mr. Crockett on Hulu, but he's taking his time out to
Yeah.
speak with the evil Tyrone,
Yeah.
on YouTube. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, just make sure everybody make sure that they follow, this man SB
Yeah.
on
SPSP
Instagram.
on
And
Instagram and SB or Nah on Twitter. It's ESPYORNAH.
oh yeah. And so you got Mr. Crockett on Hulu. So
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want them to check out? Any websites or anything?
Um, I say yeah, just Hulu Bite Size Halloween season 3 episode 10, Mr. Crocket.
Oh
Um,
yes.
yeah, and just more coming up. And yeah, also there's Kiara. It's on Film Shortage. If you type that in, that's my previous short that helped me get this opportunity.
Which was amazing, by the way. Like we talked a little bit about it. It is amazing. You guys need to check both out. Check Mr. Crockett out first, but
Yeah,
check Kiara out as well.
yeah.
So
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah, but thank you again, man. I appreciate it, and I'm a fan, I'm a fan of your work, so I'm looking forward to what you got in store in the future, and looking forward to, promoting whatever you got to push out there. So, you know,
thank you so much, Tyrone. It was
oh
great
yeah.
talking with you.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. All right. Everybody enjoy your night. Thank you for rocking out with me and Brandon today.
All right,
All
y'all.
right, all right, all right.
Peace.
All right.